I'm Lauren Hayes, 31 years old, an interior designer living in Missoula, Montana. That night, our family dinner started like any other. Plates clinking, my mom passing the mashed potatoes. I was laughing about a client's outrageous wallpaper choice when my dad slammed his glass down, the sound slicing through the room like a blade. "Lauren, you have 2 days to get your things out," he barked, his voice like ice. "This house belongs to your brother now." My fork froze midair. My brother, who'd been off chasing big dreams in New York, hadn't set foot here in years. I had poured my own savings, $60,000, into keeping this place alive. I'd paid the bank loans, fixed the leaking roof, and bought nearly every piece of furniture in this dining room. And now they were handing it to him. My mom wouldn't meet my eyes, fidgeting with her napkin, while my dad leaned back, arms crossed like the decision was final. My stomach twisted, but I didn't argue. I just nodded, my mind already racing. They thought I'd roll over, pack up, and vanish. They had no idea what was coming. In 48 hours, they'd walk into this house and regret every word they'd said. I pushed my plate away, stood up, and walked to my room, planning my next move. They'd underestimated me. That was their first mistake. If you're as stunned as I was, drop a comment below with where you're watching from and what time it is. Let's see how many of us are glued to this drama. The next morning, I woke up in our Missoula home, my dad's words still echoing. I lay in bed staring at the pale blue ceiling I'd painted 3 years ago, trying to make sense of last night. How could they just give the house to my brother when I'd sacrificed everything to keep it standing? Back in 2022, when the bank threatened foreclosure, I stepped in. My parents were drowning in debt, $60,000 they couldn't pay. I was 27, just starting my interior design career, but I emptied my savings to cover it. Every cent I'd scraped together from late-night freelance jobs went to the bank, not because they asked, but because this house was my home. It was where I grew up, where I sketched my first designs on the living room floor. I didn't stop at the loans. The house was falling apart, peeling paint, creaky floors, a roof that leaked every spring. I took extra clients, worked weekends, poured my heart into fixing it. I chose the soft blue paint to bring the walls to life again. I bought a sturdy gray sofa for family movie nights, and a flat-screen TV for my mom's favorite cooking shows. The new washing machine was my idea too, after the old one broke and left us lugging laundry to the laundromat. Each purchase, every hour sanding floors or hanging curtains, was for them, for us. I believed I was building something lasting, something they valued as deeply as I did. But my brother Chase Morgan didn't care. He left for New York 5 years ago, chasing some big banking job, dreaming of skyscrapers and stock markets. He'd call maybe twice a year, always rushed, promising to visit but never showing up. When he did, it was all swagger, talking about deals that never happened, wearing suits he couldn't afford. My parents ate it up, hanging on his every word like he was some Wall Street prodigy. They bragged to neighbors about his success while I was the one keeping the lights on. I'd overhear my mom on the phone saying, "Chase Morgan's doing so well," as I scrubbed the kitchen counters I'd paid to replace. It hurt, but I swallowed it, hoping my work spoke louder. 3 years ago, when the bank called about overdue loans, I was the one who answered. My dad sat at this very dining table, head in his hands, whispering, "We might lose everything." My mom's eyes were red from crying. Chase Morgan didn't even pick up when I called for help. "He's busy," my mom said, as if that excused him. So I took out my savings, every penny I'd planned for my own future, and handed it over. The bank took it, the house was saved, and my parents hugged me in gratitude. But gratitude fades fast. Soon it was back to Chase Morgan's calls, his stories, their pride in him. I'd walk into the living room, see the sofa I'd bought, the TV I'd wired up, and wonder why it wasn't enough. Last summer, I even redid the dining room, picking out a sleek modern chandelier to replace the flickering one from my childhood. I spent hours measuring, sanding, painting, making sure every detail was flawless. When it was finished, my mom smiled and said it looked fancy. My dad nodded and called it nice. But the next week, when Chase Morgan phoned, they spent an hour gushing over his latest big deal. I stood quietly in the hallway, paint still clinging to my hands. Nice, fancy. I had rebuilt their home piece by piece, and yet all they could talk about was a brother who hadn't set foot here in years. It wasn't just the money. It was the time, the energy, the late nights designing client projects to pay for this place. I would come home exhausted, collapse onto that gray sofa, and still feel the weight of this house pressing on my shoulders. My parents leaned on me, but their eyes lit up for Chase Morgan. He was the golden child, the one who escaped, while I stayed here holding everything together. And now they wanted to hand him the house, the one I had fought for, the one I had made my own. My chest tightened, not with sadness, but with something sharper. Anger, maybe, or resolve. They thought I would just step aside and let Chase Morgan waltz in, claiming what I built. They were wrong. That morning, sunlight spilled across the pale blue walls of my room. I sat up, steadying my breath. For years I'd kept this family afloat, but last night's dinner had changed everything. I wasn't just their daughter anymore. I was the person they used, the one they took for granted. But I wasn't finished yet. I reached for my phone, my fingers steady despite the fire running through my veins. I needed answers, and I knew who to call. By mid-morning, I rang Brooke Carter, my best friend. She picked up on the second ring, her voice calm but sharp. "Lauren, what's wrong?" she asked, immediately sensing my urgency. I paced the kitchen, the one I'd redesigned with the granite counters I paid for, and poured out everything about last night's dinner. My father's cold ultimatum. 2 days to leave the house. Handing it over to my brother. The words still burned in my chest. I told her how I'd poured $60,000 into saving this place. How I rebuilt it while Chase Morgan chased dreams in New York. Brooke Carter listened, her lawyer's mind already working. "Something's off," she said. "If they're giving him the house, there has to be a reason. Have you checked their finances? Any new loans?" Her words hit like a spark. Finances. I hadn't thought of that. My parents had always been secretive about money, especially after I bailed them out 3 years ago. "I'll look into it," I said, my mind racing. I scrolled through my contacts and stopped at Evan Brooks. I'd met him 2 years ago when I designed a waiting area for his bank branch in Missoula. Straight talking, good with numbers. He still owed me a favor after I'd stayed late to finish his project. I dialed. "Evan, I need your help," I said when he answered. I explained the dinner, my dad's demand, Brooke Carter's hunch about their finances. "Can you check if there's anything tied to my name? Loans, accounts, anything?" Evan hesitated, then said he'd look into it. An hour later, he called back, his tone heavy. "Lauren, you're not going to like this." My heart sank. He'd found a loan, $60,000 taken out 6 months ago, under my name. My social security number, my signature. Except I'd never signed anything. "It's a home equity loan," Evan said quietly. "Your parents and your brother are listed as co-borrowers, but you're the primary. If it defaults, you're on the hook." I gripped the phone until my knuckles went white. $60,000. Again. And they had used me. Evan emailed me a copy of the agreement. I opened it on my laptop, staring at the scanned document. There it was. My name, Lauren Hayes, in bold print, above a signature that looked like mine but wasn't. The loops on the W were too sharp. The tail on the L too short. A forgery. Clumsy, but convincing enough to fool a bank. The loan was tied to the house, the same one I had saved from foreclosure. My parents and Chase Morgan had gone behind my back, used my identity to borrow money, and now wanted me out so Chase Morgan could take over. My stomach twisted, not just with anger, but with a deep sense of betrayal. They hadn't only stolen my money, they'd taken my name, my future. With trembling hands, I forwarded the email to Brooke Carter. She called back immediately. "This is identity theft," she said, her voice firm and steady. "We can fight this, Lauren, but we'll need solid proof. Check your house for any paperwork, loan agreements, bank statements, anything." Heart pounding, I climbed the narrow attic stairs. Dust clung to every surface, boxes stacked high with old tax returns, faded receipts, and forgotten holiday decorations. I started with a box marked bills, sifting through envelopes. Most were routine utilities, but one unmarked folder, tucked under a pile of receipts, caught my eye. Inside were bank statements, none in my name, but one letter stood out, addressed to my mom and dad. It referenced a $60,000 loan and confirmed payments were overdue. My breath caught when I found a copy of the same loan agreement Evan had sent, the fake signature glaring back at me. My hands shook as I scanned it line by line. The loan had been approved 6 months ago, right around the time Chase Morgan slunk back to Missoula, tail between his legs after his New York dreams collapsed. It didn't take long to piece together. He'd failed, needed cash, and my parents helped him by using me without a word. I sat back on the attic floor, papers scattered around me like a crime scene. My mom's silence at dinner, my dad's cold certainty, Chase Morgan's sudden return. It all made sense now. They had planned this, banking on my trust, my loyalty. For years I'd kept this family afloat, and now they'd turned my name into a tool for their own gain. Brooke Carter's words echoed in my head. Identity theft. This wasn't just betrayal. It was a crime. I gathered the documents, my resolve hardening. They thought I'd leave quietly, let Chase Morgan claim the house I'd fought for. But I had proof now. I wasn't going anywhere without a fight. By noon, I was still in the attic, digging through family records for more evidence. I wasn't going to let them take what was mine. Grabbing a notepad, I began listing every item I'd bought for the house over the years. The gray sofa in the living room, soft and sturdy after weeks of searching. The flat-screen TV on the wall, perfect for my mom's cooking shows. The washing machine in the laundry room, a lifesaver after the old one died. The cream-colored curtains in the dining room, custom-ordered to match the chandelier I'd installed. Each item was mine, paid for with my money, my work, my sweat. I wasn't about to leave them behind for my brother to claim. I opened my laptop and searched for moving companies in Missoula. I needed this done fast, today if possible. I found a local outfit, Missoula Movers, with solid reviews and same-day service. My voice stayed steady despite the knot in my chest as I called. "I need to move furniture out of my house this afternoon," I told the man on the phone. He asked for details, size of the load, address, timeline. I rattled off the list: sofa, TV, washing machine, curtains, a few smaller pieces. "Can you be here by 2?" I asked. He confirmed. A crew would arrive with a truck. I hung up, feeling a flicker of control. They'd given me 48 hours to get out, but I was leaving on my terms. The doorbell rang, pulling me from my thoughts. It was Karen Whitfield, our neighbor from across the street, holding a plate of cookies. Her gray hair was pulled back, her eyes sharp with concern. "Lauren, are you okay?" she asked, stepping inside. "You looked upset this morning." I hesitated, then told her about my dad's ultimatum, leaving out the loan for now. Karen frowned, setting the cookies on the counter. "You've done so much for this house," she said softly. "I remember you painting the porch last summer, hauling furniture in the rain. Your parents always bragged about your brother, but you're the one who kept this place together." Her words hit me hard, not because they were new, but because they were true. Karen's support felt like a lifeline, a reminder I wasn't alone. I thanked her, promising to keep her updated. She left with a warm pat on my shoulder. Turning back to my laptop, I emailed the loan documents to Brooke Carter. Almost instantly, my phone buzzed, her name on the screen. "I got the papers," Brooke Carter said, her voice clipped with focus. "This is textbook identity theft. We can file a lawsuit against your parents and Chase Morgan for fraud. I'll draft a complaint, but we need to act quickly to protect your credit and assets." I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. "What do I need to do?" I asked. She told me to gather any proof, receipts, bank statements, anything showing my role in maintaining the house. I already had the loan agreement and the bank's letter from the attic, but I promised to search again for more. "We'll file by tomorrow," Brooke Carter said. "Once the movers clear your belongings, we'll lock in the case." A surge of purpose rushed through me. This wasn't just about the house anymore. It was about holding them accountable. By 1 May, I was back at my notepad, double-checking my list. I walked through each room, marking items with sticky notes: sofa, TV, washing machine, curtains. At my bedroom desk, I added the lamp I'd bought for the hallway and the rug in the entryway. Every piece was a fragment of my effort, my life here. I wasn't letting Chase Morgan or my parents keep them. The movers arrived at 2, a 3-man crew in Navy uniforms, their truck idling in the driveway. I pointed out the labeled items, watching as they unhooked the TV, folded the curtains, and hauled the washing machine down the stairs. It was strange seeing the home I'd built over years dismantled in hours. But it wasn't sadness I felt. It was clarity. I was reclaiming what was mine, piece by piece. While the movers worked, I called Brooke Carter again to confirm the lawsuit plan. "We're alleging identity theft and financial fraud," she said, her voice steady. "The loan documents are solid evidence, and your record of paying for the house strengthens our case. We'll demand the loan be voided and seek damages for the stress they've caused." I asked about the house itself. "What will happen to it?" "If the loan defaults," Brooke Carter explained, "the bank could foreclose. Your family might lose it entirely." I paused, picturing my parents and Chase Morgan scrambling. Part of me wanted to feel bad. But I didn't. They'd made their choice when they forged my name. I told Brooke Carter to move forward without hesitation. The movers finished by 4, the truck loaded with my belongings. I stood in the now empty living room, the walls bare without my curtains, the space hollow without my sofa. Karen poked her head in again, her eyes widening at the sight. "You're really doing this?" she asked, a mix of awe and admiration in her voice. I nodded, managing a small smile. "They thought I'd just walk away," I said. "They're about to learn I don't break that easily." Karen squeezed my hand, promising to check in later. I locked the front door, the key heavy in my pocket. That afternoon, as the movers hauled my things out, I felt a surge of control. By evening, the house felt empty, the movers gone. The living room, once warmed by my gray sofa and cream curtains, now echoed with every step across the hardwood floor. I stood by the kitchen counter, the loan agreement still in my bag, its forged signature burning in my mind. My parents and Chase Morgan thought they could erase me from this house, but I'd taken everything that was mine. The quiet broke when the front door swung open, followed by the thud of a suitcase hitting the floor. Chase Morgan stood there, his tie loosened, his face flushed with anger. "What the hell did you do?" he shouted, gesturing at the bare walls. This is my house now, Lauren. Where's the furniture? I crossed my arms, meeting his glare. Your house, I said, my voice steady. I took what's mine. The sofa, the TV, the washing machine, the curtains. You know, the things I paid for. Chase Morgan's eyes narrowed, his jaw tight. You don't get to decide that, he snapped. Dad said this place is mine. You're supposed to be gone. I stepped closer, pulling the loan agreement from my bag and holding it up. I know about the $60,000 loan, Chase Morgan. The one you, Mom, and Dad took out in my name. That fake signature. I'm not the fool you think I am. His face froze for a second before he smirked. You're making this up, he said. You're just mad because I'm back and you're out. I didn't flinch. I have proof, I said, tapping the papers. Evan Brooks at the bank sent me the agreement. Your name's on it, too. But I'm the one they'll come after if it defaults. You really thought I wouldn't find out? Chase Morgan's smirk faded, replaced by a flicker of panic. He grabbed his phone, dialing our parents. You're going to hear from Mom and Dad about this, he said, his voice rising. You can't just strip the house and walk away. I laughed, sharp and cold. Walk away? I'm protecting myself. You and our parents committed identity theft. I'm not letting you take what I built. The doorbell rang, slicing through the tension. It was Tom Bennett, our neighbor from 2 houses down, his flannel shirt tucked neatly into his jeans. He stepped inside, his eyes darting between me and Chase Morgan. Everything okay, Lauren? He asked, his voice calm but firm. I nodded, keeping my gaze on Chase Morgan. Just having a chat with my brother, I said. Tom raised an eyebrow, looking at the empty living room. Heard the movers earlier, he said. Lauren, you've poured your heart into this place. I saw you fixing the porch, hauling that TV in. Whatever's going on, I'm on your side. His words landed like a quiet anchor, grounding me. Chase Morgan scoffed, rolling his eyes. This doesn't concern you, old man, he said. Tom didn't budge. Chase Morgan down. Chase Morgan's face reddened. His hands clenched. You're pathetic, Lauren, Chase Morgan sneered, his voice dripping with contempt. Always the victim. Always pretending you're the hero of this family. Mom and Dad know who really matters. I stepped closer, my voice steady and low. If I'm so pathetic, why'd you need my name to get that loan? Why'd you come crawling back to Missoula when your big dreams fell apart? Chase Morgan flinched, his bravado cracking. He opened his mouth to fire back, but his phone buzzed. Our dad's name lit up on the screen. He answered, pacing the empty room as he ranted. She took everything, Dad. The whole damn house is empty. I stood still, unmoved, as he gestured wildly, his voice echoing against bare walls. Tom leaned toward me, speaking softly. You don't deserve this, Lauren, he said. I've watched you hold this family together. Don't let him bully you. I nodded, grateful for his support. Chase Morgan hung up, eyes blazing. Dad's furious, he snapped. You're done, Lauren. You'll regret this. I lifted the loan agreement, my hands steady. No, Chase Morgan, you will. Tomorrow I'm filing a lawsuit. Identity theft, fraud, the works. You and our parents can explain everything to a judge. Chase Morgan's mouth opened, then shut, his confidence collapsing. He grabbed his suitcase, muttering under his breath, and stormed out. This isn't over, he spat, slamming the door behind him. Silence settled over the room. Tom rested a hand on my shoulder. You did the right thing, he said quietly. I'm proud of you. I managed a small smile, the weight of the day lifting just enough to breathe. I tucked the loan papers safely into my bag and locked the front door. Later, at Brooke Carter's apartment, I spread the documents across her table. The forged signature stared back at me, a jagged reminder of my family's betrayal. Brooke Carter, her laptop open, was already typing, fingers flying across the keys. We've got a strong case, she said, her voice steady. Identity theft, financial fraud, and proof you've maintained the house. It's airtight. We spent the evening finalizing the lawsuit, every piece of evidence laid out. The loan agreement from Evan, the bank letter I'd found in the attic, receipts for the sofa, TV, and washing machine I'd paid for myself. By midnight, the complaint was ready. A 20-page document accusing my parents and Chase Morgan of forging my name to secure a $60,000 home equity loan. I signed it, my hand steady. This was the only way to take my life back. The next morning, Brooke Carter drove us to the Missoula County Courthouse, a squat brick building downtown. We filed the lawsuit, the clerk stamping our papers with a thud that felt final. Outside, the cold Montana air bit my face as a strange mix of relief and resolve washed over me. This isn't just about the house anymore, I thought. It's about justice. Brooke Carter squeezed my arm. The court will see through their lies, she said. You've got this. In the weeks that followed, we gathered more evidence, bank statements proving I'd saved the house 3 years ago, emails from Evan confirming the loan details, even a notarized affidavit from Karen Whitfield about my work on the property. My parents and Chase Morgan were served papers within days. I could almost picture their shock, their frantic scrambling to respond. The case moved faster than I expected. By early spring, we stood before a judge in a small wood-paneled courtroom. My parents sat across from me, faces drawn, eyes averted. Chase Morgan slouched beside them, his swagger gone, replaced by a nervous twitch. Brooke Carter presented our case with calm precision, laying out the forged loan agreement, my financial contributions, and their betrayal of trust. Their lawyer, a weary man in a cheap suit, argued I'd agreed to the loan, but the judge wasn't convinced. The evidence was overwhelming. The fake signature, the bank records, my years of payments. When the ruling came, the judge's voice was firm. The loan was voided, my name cleared, and my parents and Chase Morgan were ordered to pay court fees and damages for emotional distress. The house tied to the unpaid $60,000 loan would be sold to settle the debt with the bank. I didn't stay to see their faces. I walked out of the courthouse, the weight of years lifting off my shoulders. Brooke Carter followed, a rare smile breaking through her professional calm. You won, Lauren, she said. They can't touch you now. I nodded, the victory bittersweet. The house I'd fought to save would be sold. But it wasn't mine anymore, not after what they'd done. Weeks later, a neighbor told me the bank had foreclosed, auctioning off the house for just enough to cover the loan. My parents and Chase Morgan were forced into a cramped apartment on the edge of Missoula. Their savings drained, their pride shattered. Chase Morgan took a low-paying job at a local car dealership, his New York dreams long gone. My parents, once so proud of him, now struggled to pay utility bills. The day after the ruling, my phone buzzed. First my mom, her voicemail shaky. Lauren, how could you do this to us? She cried. We're your family. Then my dad, his tone sharp with blame. You've ruined us, he said. You didn't have to take it this far. I listened to each message, my chest tight but my resolve unbroken. They'd used my name, my trust, to secure a loan they never meant to repay. They'd chosen Chase Morgan over me again and again, and now they wanted forgiveness. I deleted the voicemails one by one and blocked their numbers. A week later, Chase Morgan called from a new number, leaving a message that swung between anger and desperation. You think you're better than us, he said. You'll regret this. I blocked him too. The silence that followed felt like freedom. Brooke Carter checked in regularly, making sure I was okay. You did what you had to, she told me one evening over coffee. They'd made their choices. I nodded, knowing she was right. The lawsuit hadn't just cleared my name, it had drawn a line. For years I had carried my family, but not anymore. The house was gone. Their finances were in ruins. But I wasn't the one who forged the papers. I wasn't the one who lied. They had built their own consequences, and I was done cleaning up their mess. Months later, sunlight streamed across my new apartment as I stood at the window. Walking through Missoula's streets, I felt lighter than ever. The weight of my family's betrayal, years of carrying their burdens and lies, had finally lifted. I'd landed a job at a small interior design firm downtown, a cozy office with exposed brick walls where I sketched layouts for local businesses. My days were now filled with color swatches, floor plans, and client meetings. Each project a chance to create something new, something mine. My one-bedroom apartment near the Clark Fork River was starting to feel like home. I'd set my gray sofa beneath the window, morning light catching its soft fabric. The flat-screen TV hung neatly on the opposite wall, a quiet reminder of the life I'd reclaimed. I hung fresh navy curtains and placed my old lamp on a corner table, its warm glow softening the evenings. Every piece, once part of the house I had fought for, now belonged to a space entirely my own. I hadn't spoken to my parents or to Chase Morgan since the lawsuit. Their numbers stayed blocked, their voicemails deleted. In Missoula's tight-knit community, gossip traveled fast. I'd heard they were struggling, still in that cramped apartment on the edge of town, scraping by on odd jobs and dwindling savings. Chase Morgan's car lot job barely covered rent. My parents' pride had been shattered. One afternoon, Karen Whitfield, my neighbor, stopped by the firm to drop off a coffee. "People talk," she said, her eyes kind but serious. "Everyone knows what they did, forging your name, trying to push you out. Tom's been telling folks at the community center how you stood up for yourself." I nodded, grateful but unsurprised. Missoula didn't forgive betrayals like that easily, and my family's reputation had collapsed under the weight of their choices. I didn't dwell on their downfall. My focus was on the life I was building. At the firm, I took on bigger projects: a cafe redesign, a boutique hotel lobby, each one stretching my skills and building my confidence. In the evenings, I'd rearrange my apartment, tweaking the layout until it felt just right. Even the washing machine, humming quietly in its small utility closet, felt like a victory. Every piece of that apartment was proof I had fought for what was mine. Sometimes, sitting on the sofa sketching new designs, I'd feel a quiet pride. I had spent years pouring my heart into a family that took me for granted. Now I poured that energy into myself. Looking back, the lesson was clear. I had let my family use my money, my time, my trust, because I thought that's what family meant. But loyalty doesn't mean letting people walk over you. Protecting your worth means setting boundaries, even when it hurts, even when it's the people closest to you. I had given everything to keep that house standing, only to learn they'd forged my name to take it away. Standing up, fighting for the truth, walking away, it all showed me my own strength. Independence isn't just living alone. It's knowing you can stand tall no matter who tries to pull you down. I wasn't the daughter who fixed everything anymore. I was Lauren, building a life on my own terms. And that was enough.